Good morning, Bitcoin. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is Proof of Work. Proof of Work is a show about the people behind Bitcoin and how they got here. We're joined by Slush from Slushpool and Trezor. Trezor. How's it going, Slush?
Yeah, hello. It's cool. It's cool conference here in Malta.
Yeah, it's been good. It's good to see Tone again, and they have a great workshop going next door. Looks like they're teaching a seminar upstairs. It's one of the last days of the conference, but it's all still happening. It's exciting to be here in Malta. So, Slush, we want to get started with everyone's most favorite and most familiar question. What was your first computer?
Yeah, I remember the first time when I get to computer, and I was like 7 years old, and it was a computer in my mom's job, and I was only type something on the text editor, so because it was completely restricted.
Sure,
and so on.
yeah. If you break a work computer, you get in a lot of trouble for it. I know that.
Yeah. And then we had one year later. It was 92, maybe 93. First computer. It was PC.
Yeah.
And it was still restricted, but by these times I was much better than my parents on the computer. So it's a pity that they didn't let me spend more time on the computer. They were too afraid that I will break some things, which wasn't the thing. But by these times I started to program in QBasic.
Oh yeah.
And
so like line numbers and everything?
Yeah. I remember there were 2 demo games, like Nibbles or something like this.
Yeah,
and
Snake.
I started, Snake.
Yeah.
And I started to hack it and add some features and
so on.
Yeah, so it was like the code was there. I studied I studied it and edit small tweaks and following how it will behave and so on.
Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of people about that. I used to try to edit save games to give myself more money in the game, and then other people said they had to type in programs from magazines, and this was incredibly difficult, and there'd be errors and stuff, but they would see how the game works because they were forced to type it. So like you say, if you make it go speed 100, speed 1,000, you know right away what you changed, and then just trial and error, that kind of thing. And my parents were always afraid I was going to break it too, and I did break it over and over again. I learned how to reinstall Windows and reformat hard drives, and I lost data and I gained data and all that. But I think it is important to break it. And I think part of what I try to lecture out of like my parents or my friends or anybody that I teach, I'm like, stop worrying about breaking the computer and worry more about clicking on everything. If you haven't clicked on it, you don't know what it does yet. Like I taught myself Microsoft Office, and I was just like, I went menu by menu. What does this do? What does that do? Oh, that's what a bullet point is. Oh, that's a list of things. I was like, oh. And I mean, I didn't have any Office documents to work on. I was a kid. But I had this incredible program with all these menus that I've never read. And I was just like, and the same Photoshop, every little program I wanted to learn, I was just like, what does this do? What does this filter do? What does that filter do? And that exploration is what I think computers are all about. So you were already programming and editing games a little bit. Did you continue with programming? Was this just it? You're in like lifetime, or did you kind of drift away from computers?
Well, around when I was like 15, I actually spent a lot of time on gaming, which it was some dark times. And after 1 or 2 years of gaming, I realized that it's not going anywhere. I got bored basically, so I started to dig into computer more. But by the time I already have my personal computer, like that was the first one when the parents had a new model, and I disassembled it completely. Like I was wondering, what's inside? I was always using it as a user or as a programmer, but how it works. So I started to, I don't know, over the serial port, switching bits and so on. And I was wondering how it works. And actually, I completely destroyed the computer. Because when you are not breaking things, you are not on the edge.
Exactly. I did a lot of hardware too, building computers from scratch and upgrading processors and frying motherboards, and you learn by doing, and sometimes it costs you an unbelievable amount of money for a young kid, like a couple $100 to get a new motherboard because you screwed up the old one. But you had to do it. What were the choices? You had to. Like mine was, I plugged 2 keyboards in at the same time because they gave me one that was small and one that was the old 9-pin DIM, and then one had the new small one, and I was like, I could type 2 things at the same time. And it turned out that I couldn't. And that was the end of that motherboard. And I complained to the store, this is junk, blah, blah, blah. And I got a refund or whatever. But I was a kid. What was I going to do? I needed a new motherboard. So yeah, that's great. So you started tinkering with the hardware. And then did you go on to study computers in school? Or?
Well, I went to the college, but it didn't. Well, I did just for diploma. I had a lot of different interests. I was already working and fiddling with open source, some software, and spent programming my own projects, which most of them never were finished, but I learned a lot.
Sure.
So I finished the school, but it was just formality for me. Yeah. And then I actually joined the dark side, and I was working for a bank.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They have all the money. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good lesson for me because I was actually on the architecture department. So I learned how the bank works from inside, from the technical aspect. Like there's so many departments and guys doing just one thing.
Sure.
But I was amazed by looking how it works like together. Like some 20, 30 years old systems interacting with modern APIs, batch processing, some strange stuff which is legacy, and everybody is afraid of touching it because there's no documentation and so on. It was really cool experience. But I realized that this is not going, again, it's not going anywhere because I will sit there for like 40 years.
Yeah.
And moving squares from left to right.
Sure, sure.
Waiting years until anything happened.
Yeah.
So I changed the job and I went back to the startup, some small startup which was lean. It was moving much more forward, and doing again some open source stuff. Like I don't think these projects are alive already, and. Then I actually started to play with futures markets and learn, because I was in the bank, so I saw something and so on, and I played with the futures market, and I was actually thinking to become a full-time trader. But then I realized it's just so boring.
I don't think I could take the stress. I'm so bad. Like it goes up, and I'm like, oh, I'm so happy I should buy more. And it goes down. I'm like, oh, I'm so sad I should sell. And I have all the wrong feelings and all the wrong things, and it's just so stressful. Yeah.
So I spent not full time, but like 5 years playing with the futures markets and learning all the bullshit stuff with the technical analysis and all this thing. And I realized that I'm not a guy. I'm not the good guy. Like I need to want to create some stuff, not just looking to grasp. So thanks to my open source involvement somewhere, actually the Zuko from Zcash was the first guy who told me about Bitcoin.
Nice.
So it was April 2010, and I opened bitcoin.org. Yeah. And I read some home screen, homepage stuff, and I was like, okay, it's some in-gaming money, probably nothing interesting for me because I'm no longer involved in gaming. Sure. So I closed it. And a few months later, Zuko again mentioned Bitcoin in the mailing list, and I was okay. He's a pretty smart guy, so. There must be something more in this. So I opened it for a second time and read more in depth, and I understand. I understand it's like financial system. When I was younger, I played with some local Czech completely centralized internet payment system. Like a user. So I had some experience from this, and I was, wow, this is completely decentralized and it's open source. It's finance. You know, I had some financial.
Sure. Yeah, you were perfectly ready for this. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And then I went crazy about this, and I do the Bitcoin for full time. I learned. I'm not a C guy, so I wasn't able to read from the source code. But I learned from all materials around, and it was completely different than today, because there were no magazines, there were no wiki pages about Bitcoin. So I learned as much as I was able to. And then, of course, it joined together in my head with the experience from the futures market and the financial background and the IT background. And I was learning about the social perspective of the Bitcoin. And I was like crazy. I was sold.
It's an amazing background to come from for Bitcoin. And of course, I'm always envious of these people who had someone else tell them. Because I mean, I read about it on Slashdot, and I tried to tell my roommate, and he was a computer programmer, and I thought he knew more than me, and he's like, nah, I don't think it's a thing. And we'd seen, you know, Liberty Dollar and E-Dollar and E-Gold, and you know, we watching this space for long. We used PayPal on the Palm Pilot to send money around. We wanted this internet currency thing, but we just didn't know which one would be the one. So I forgot about it for a few years, but to have Zuko reminding you multiple times is just a great thing to have, and just a real service that he did by getting excited and telling other people, which is what I did later on. I got excited and told other people. But how did you go from tooling around with Bitcoin into starting Slushpool and Trezor and these big businesses?
Actually, the story was quite similar, because I'm not so much like a theory guy. I like to learn things, but I'm learning that to find out how to improve the stuff like for practical use. And when on the beginning with the Bitcoin, I wasn't mining actually. I didn't have any hardware. I had just laptop, and I tried mine once, and it doesn't work. It didn't.
You don't get anything, right? I tried it mine. I don't get anything.
It was actually, I was late to the party like 1 month, because it was just on the edge when GPU miners started to be a thing. So after studying all the stuff, I was like, maybe I should buy one GPU just to test it out, if it will work. How to have the hands-on experience with the mining. So I get one card, and it really generates something. Every day there was a block back then. But the difficulty was ramping up.
Absolutely.
Every day, not every day, of course, but every difficulty adjustment was like to the moon.
Absolutely.
So I was thinking, okay, so I just bought the card, and I will throw it away in like 2 months. No. I had to find out how to stay in the game for a longer time. So I was maybe I'm not mining one block per day anymore. So maybe we can join with guys on the Bitcoin talk and mine somehow together to average out the earnings. And I wasn't actually the guy who came up with the specific the low share, low difficulty shares. But I opened the topic on the Bitcoin talk, and everything is recorded there. It's funny stuff. If anybody is really interested in the history, everything is there. Everything is public.
Awesome.
All the messages with the other guys, thinking how it could work, and then I really don't know who came with the idea of low difficulty shares and validating this stuff on the server. But I was like, that's pretty good idea. Just try it on. And after 14 days, I had working prototype, and it worked. I was surprised myself.
It's amazing.
So I made some website around it, and I published it on Bitcoin Talk.
Yeah.
And I really didn't expect it will get so much traction. So it was completely non-profit. It was like I paid one VPS server and tried it out.
Yeah.
And in January, February 2011, it get traction, and actually botnets started to join. And
Isn't that great? You build something nice, and then they just have to wreck it.
Yeah. And I was wondering, like, okay, so one VPS is not enough anymore, because tons of zombies, ten thousands of zombies were connected to the pool trying to mine on CPUs. So after 3 months, I decided to set a fee.
Sure.
So I basically create the whole industry, because then the competition came up, debate and BTC Guild pools came up, and it started. But it was took like 2 months for community to realize that this is really something useful, and there's no easy way to steal from them, because the pools actually quite well auditable. So it gets traction pretty fast.
That's pretty amazing. It's a big part of Bitcoin history that we mine in pools now, and that you don't just go with one graphics card and get something or nothing. You get like a little share of something every day, and this allows you to actually build a business around, to get more graphics cards, or even get a whole like a server room full of miners, these kind of things. It escalates, and it's interesting to see how it starts. Just one person trying to mine, everybody talking about it on Bitcoin Talk, contributing, little pieces here and there, not even sure where the idea came from. Just that all together we were like, we can do this thing, and you set it up, and now we're doing this thing. Yeah.
And the story continues, because in the peak, I had around 30% of Bitcoin hash rate on a pool.
And fur coats and diamond necklaces, rolling around in Bentleys.
But actually, it started to get to worry me, because I was alone. There was quite a lot of money in the turnover on the pool, and I was so scared to get anybody else access to the pool. So since 2010 or 2011 to 2013, I was maintaining it completely alone. Well, there was one guy helping me with some stuff. By the time he built some trust for me, but he didn't understand it too well. So I was mostly alone on this. And back then it was Wild West, like DDoS attacks, zombie nets, hackers. Now, well, I survived. So it's
which is something. It's quite something.
It's like interesting memory to tell in the interview. But back then, I was really exhausted from this.
Oh, I'm sure. Staying up all night, or it beeps and it's getting hacked. You have to wake up in the middle of the night.
Actually, I lost most of my friends. Because every time they told me, oh, go to the pub with us, I was wearing my notebook, and of course every time I was sitting with my friends, the SMS came from the monitoring, and sorry guys, don't take it personally, but I really have to go.
That's the dedication that leads you to where you are now. I mean, you have to be that into it. I mean, I know I was like reading about it all the time, and you get a message, you read about it all the time, and you do kind of drive your friends crazy. I told them all to buy it and then to get into it, and then they didn't, and I was bummed out, and I was like, what can I do differently? So then I told the internet about it, and then now it's a different group, but we're all way into it.
So I remember I took my notebook and mobile phone even to theater, and I was sitting in the middle of theater, and my SMS, my pager came up. So I to my girlfriend, I said, sorry, I have to leave. So during the theater, I went out, and in the lobby I was tweeting, fucking hackers. Yeah. And after 2 years and 2.5 years, my social life was gone.
Yeah.
I was like, friends stopped to invite me anywhere. My girlfriend was like, oh, this is not going to be funny anymore because you are really a zombie. Yeah. So I was like, I have to change something.
Yeah.
So I contacted my old friend. He's currently CTO of Slushpool.
Yeah.
And I told him all the story. Like it's like it was really good business, but most of the people were like the Bitcoin was really small, still so small.
Sure.
So nobody was able, or nobody was really into like, okay, so I'm going to exit my job and I'm helping with you with this.
It was a big risk to give up that security for this unknown Bitcoin thing. Yeah.
So it took me like one year to convince him to join the project, especially when he saw that I am all the time.
That's gonna be him. That'll be me. Yeah.
So in 2012, I think 2014, he and his colleague entered into the pool, and they started to professionalize it. They were not alone anymore. Like I was doing everything: research, development, testing, customer support, operation.
That's right.
Everything. So now the Slushpool is like 30 people.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So
take the pressure off you. You get to go to movies now. You know, you can go out to the pub and dinner and anything. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And that's really like, a lot of people talk about that, about being the startup CEO, and they talk a big talk. They're like, yeah, you should spend a couple days in support and spend a couple days in this, but you really did all the jobs yourself for multiple years. And people are like, why is my business not successful? It's like, maybe you're not willing to do that. You know, you need to be more dedicated, like laptop everywhere if you want to succeed. So you really had the drive, man, to not just make a mining pool, but then to keep it and then to make it successful. So that's really awesome that you pulled it through. And then, I don't know, you founded Trezor and stuff, but what are you working on today? Is there anything you want to tell the people, like, you know, no secrets or anything, but what's going on in the future, or just new things you're working on today?
Yeah, so today I'm full-time on Trezor. I'm CEO of Slush Labs, which is developing the Trezor. And it is basically the project I was starting just after I leave the pool. Yeah. Because I had to change the topic, because I need some rest from the pool. Yeah. And I met Stick, who is the CTO of the Trezor, and I'm doing it since 2000. Well, the idea came in 2011, basically, but we started to work full-time 2012, and we incorporated Slush Labs in 2013, when we already started the production, so we need some company, and because of the export and shipping and so on. So we started the company, and I'm working on this full-time since then.
And this is a slightly different company, because you actually have to make a physical thing. It's a Trezor wallet. It's not just a pool like software, and you can kind of control that, but you know, it has to have a little case, it has a chip inside, a little screen. It's a very complicated little project.
So the original idea was that we will be done like in 6 months, and because we were software guys and really naive, we are really naive software guys. Since then, I understand why so many Kickstarter projects fail. Because we started to dig into the production and digging into all the process like the manufacturing and even exporting around the world. It was like a nightmare. And we have so many issues on the go. Like, we spent 6 months with some company doing the mold for the plastic. And after the 6 months, they had nothing. We spent mostly all the money on it. And they were, so we are sorry. So it's another very long story how we came with the Trezor. It's maybe for another interview.
Sure, we'll have to do it. We'll do a part 2 with more of the Trezor stuff. I don't want to take too much of your time. But
So after 1.5 year of intensive development, it wasn't so much different like doing the pool actually.
But you seem to get really intensely into these projects. I'm saying you get intense into it, you go for it, and then you get kind of bored. Your next project. It's a really good way to be, I think.
But the reason why I didn't collapse back then is because I was under the stress, even with the Slushpool and even with the Trezor. But with the Trezor, it was quite different because in the Slushpool, I had financial responsibility for the money in the system. And with the Trezor, in the beginning, it was like a startup, and we were wondering how it will work. We learned a lot of stuff from the manufacturing and so on. But since we ship it, until we ship it, there wasn't any real responsibility for some big pile of money. So
and then there was tons of responsibility. I got my money on a Trezor. He's got his money on a Trezor. We're counting on you, man. No pressure, no pressure. But when I go to the box, I hope there's a little bit of money there. But
But my experience from the pool learned me that I'm not ever going custodial services.
Yes.
So we designed, thanks to this experience, we designed Trezor with as much limited attack surface from our side as possible. As possible, because I knew how it is sleeping with the responsibility of somebody else's money on my own Linux box.
You don't want that, man. We had like a BBS back in the day, and of course the first thing we did is read everyone's emails and everyone's instant messages, and I was like, well, if I did that when I was a system admin, well, they're all going to do that, and it's just such a responsibility to have even just messages, but let alone money, and then lots of money later. So it's good to get out of that and not to be in the custodial business.
So I quite like that I took the experience from all these projects before and designed the Trezor how it is. I'm quite satisfied with it. So you can sleep well. Because,
there you go. It's good.
So the fact that Satoshi Labs is already like 60 people working on the Trezor full time.
Wow.
So I also learned from the Slushpool that we can do this like alone. So we already have a really professional team. So I'm really happy guy now because everything is working and I can sleep well. Finally.
That's great, man. It came. We were worried at the beginning, but you made it through to the end, and you've got a company now and lots of people working for you can trust. So I think it's great.
9 years later, and I sleep well.
There you go. That's a great message to end on there. The entrepreneur story, 9 years later. So, where can people learn about what you're doing right now, or where can they follow you on Twitter, things like that?
Twitter is probably the best place. I'm most active there, and we actually have a lot of interesting projects for Bitcoiners in a pipeline. Like the next release of the firmware will introduce Shamir secret sharing.
Oh, nice.
So we will have a native geographic backups provided by the Trezor device itself. So there will be a lot of stuff like this. We are moving in this area.
Nice.
So Twitter is the best place for following.
Very good. And then just like Slushpool and Trezor, just Google those, have the websites and everything. So very cool. Thank you so much, Slush, for the interview.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
That's good.